You all set?
All right, so can you hear me, guys? Everyone?
Here, take mine. Take mine.
All right,
No,
now I
take mine.
can see everyone.
At home.
You guys ready?
Go ahead. We don't need anything but this, really.
I'd like to call the Town of Rocky Hill Planning and Zoning meeting to order. First order of business tonight will be a public meeting, special permit application. I guess I'll read it. Dimple?
Yes,
We don't hear Dimple.
I don't hear
know.
Dimple.
can you hear me?
Can you,
So we're all on the same page.
can you
Chairman Desai will be joining us from Zoom.
see us?
Do you want me to
I
I'll
can
go
see
to the-
you guys.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
okay,
I got it. I got this.
yeah, that's why.
Can you hear me now?
Is he going to read the notice?
I am.
Okay.
I'm just waiting to,
Yeah.
are we
We're
good?
waiting for him to make sure the sound is on, so.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can't hear him. We don't- Okay. Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
So to start the meeting, we are going to read the special permit application while we're working on the audio for Chairman Desai. Sitting for this public hearing is Commissioner Lecco, Commissioner Desai, Commissioner Zerilli, and Commissioner Mahurst.
And that'll be the 5.
Well, he's not sitting until, because we're in public. Oh, and Commissioner Brescia.
1, 2.
Yep, I got it.
Can you hear me now?
Special permit application, Rare Hospitality International Incorporated, DBA Longhorn Steakhouse, proposing a restaurant, beer, wine, and liquor permit for property located at the former location of Dakota Restaurant at 1489 Silestine Highway in RC Regional Commercial Zoning District, ID 04-557.
Hello. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board, for bringing this to action. As mentioned, we are proposing a restaurant, beer, wine.
I'm sorry, name and address for the record, please.
Of course. My name is Joseph Kenny. I'm here representing Core States Group, the engineering design firm, on behalf of Darden Restaurant Incorporated, who owns Longhorn Steakhouse, and my physical address is 665 Washington Street in Boston, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
And I'm here before you to request this special permit application for the restaurant, beer, wine, and liquor permit for property located at the former location of Dakota Steakhouse. And the premise area consists of approximately 0.3 acres. Building area size is 5,710 square feet. And the all processes, development, and property improvements, including for this liquor license, will be in accordance with section 6.K and 9.D4 of the Rocky Hill zoning regulations. And we are seeking a restaurant liquor license. In this case, there will be no live entertainment at this restaurant, and will be open 7 days a week. I also have some further information on percentage of alcohol sales, number of seats at bar versus the dining, zoning and tax assessor lot number. So if you request or need any of that information, I'd be happy to provide it on behalf of Darden. And that, to me, seems to be pretty quick overview of what we're requesting here.
Could I just ask, Kim Ritchie, Town Planner, with a special permit, there are criteria that needs to be addressed on the record, and that was attached to the application for special permit. If you could just review the special permit criteria for the record, that's what they base their decisions on. I don't know, do you have
The special permit.
the special permit criteria? It's attached to the special permit application.
Oh, yes, I do have the special
Yep.
permit criteria. Thank you,
Okay.
Kim. I can go through the overview of this special permit criteria. The site has already been zoned for a restaurant. We are addressing the criteria as it applies to the addition of liquor consumption. And the suitable location for use. This site was previously developed as a steakhouse serving beer, wine, and liquor. The redevelopment of the site will allow the site to be put back into productive use of a nature and intensity that is well suited to its location on a major arterial roadway from I-91 and Silestine Highway. Since the site has served this use before, its proximity of the interstate and highway will not overburden the traffic, nor will the development create any traffic safety issues. And the next point, the size of the building will allow for ample parking in accordance to all local ordinances and codes. Additionally, we have thoughtful landscaping and planning that will maintain an attractive and welcome appearance for patrons of the restaurant, and updated lighting has been added to the site that will enhance visibility throughout the parking lot. This appropriate and orderly redevelopment is in harmony with the surrounding district of commercial and hospitality developments. And the redevelopment will not cause a loss in value of any properties in the neighborhood and will not be detrimental to the orderly development of surrounding properties. The adjacent properties include 2 hotels, a pet boarding service, a few other restaurants such as On the Border, a technical school, supply store, and medical care facility. And then the redevelopment will allow permitted use by special permit and site plan approval in accordance with the requirements of the RC zoning classification. Moving on to appropriate improvements. The design elements of this development will be reflective of the Longhorn brand. The style of other buildings in the immediate area are predominantly neutral, as is the nature of this Longhorn brand that is enhanced by natural materials and colors that will be in harmony with surrounding buildings, as well as the heavily wooded areas that border the establishment. The location, nature, height of buildings, walls, dumpster enclosure, and extent of landscaping on the site will be similar to the previous establishment in that they will not hinder or discourage the appropriate development and use of adjacent land or buildings or impair the value thereof. The proposed use of the site will work in harmony with the neighboring area businesses and hospitality establishments by providing a quality food establishment option for both travelers and local residents. As I mentioned previously, the brand does not allow for nightlife entertainment in the form of live music, karaoke, or other events that will cause adverse effects in relation to flashing lights, loudspeaker, or other noise-making devices. Finally, the structure is being built new and will meet all current public health and fire safety codes. And then on to the next condition, the suitable transportation. The design has ample parking, which I personally worked on the civil engineering side of things. It is located amongst other businesses that will not disrupt the regular flow of traffic on public roads, and the new establishment is consistent of the previous establishment in nature, where there shall not be adverse effects regarding safety in the streets or significant increased traffic congestion in the area. The parking area will be of adequate size for the restaurant and will meet all local codes and ordinances. Moving on to the adequate public utilities and services. As the previous Dakota Steakhouse was, this site is served by MDC Public Water and Public Sanitary Sewer. Storm drainage facilities are in place as a result of the prior development of the site and discharge in the state highway drainage system. The site is also readily accessible for emergency vehicles and for the provision of emergency services, located in close proximity to an arterial roadway and accessible from all sides of the property. It is a pretty open traffic flow pattern through the existing site currently. So under environmental protection and conservation, the redevelopment of the site will be similar to the previous development. We have a 0 increase in runoff volume, and there's water quality measures being proposed at this site. The impervious coverage at the property is decreased along with the runoff volume. As currently proposed, the site is adding more landscaping and open space due to the conversion of the existing shared parking and dumpster enclosure to the northwest of the existing steakhouse. We have identified no historic or archaeological resources, nor have we identified any scenic resources on the already developed property. Then moving on to long-term viability. As with all other Longhorn steakhouses, the materials to be used on the building are designed for sustained maintenance, along with a restored parking area, upgrade landscaping. All these will be sustainable. And then the final topic, the consistency of overall objectives. The plan that we have presented, we believe to be compliant with all zoning regulations. No variances or other relief are required, but however, a variance will be requested in the future for the proposed signage at this Longhorn Steakhouse, and this is to allow an additional number of wall signs and also to exceed the maximum square footage allowed for wall signs. And these requests are made with the intention of staying consistent with brand standards and which are recognizable nationwide. We are also requesting to increase visibility to motorists along I-95 as we are well below grade of that interstate and want to allow motorists a safe amount of time to exit when needed. The redevelopment of the site is consistent with the recommendations of the Plan of Conservation and Development with respect to the enhancement of this commercial development. And finally, the proposed use will provide another opportunity for community and visitors to take advantage of the restaurant as an option without impacting public health, safety, or welfare by reintroducing a steakhouse that will replace the existing steakhouse on the site. And with that, I will take a pause and conclude the reading of the special permit criteria.
Did I complete your presentation?
Yes, for the special permit.
Okay, so we will go to the public now, and any comment from the public? Oh, you'll have to come to the microphone, please. Name and address for the record, please.
Jim Fazio, I'm at 1499 Silestine Highway. I am, and my son Justin, we're the owners of the property, have been for some time. It's been a while since I've been here. I was here quite often during the development stages back in, starting I think 92, and we were there originally in 88. So we are very pleased in our case to have Darden and Longhorn replacing Dakota because they are a well-known, highly organized, and well-financed group that will always take good care of the property in our town. And I just would like to go on record as saying that we represent that we're very comfortable having them in our town and in our community. So we're always prepared, as we have been, to answer any questions at any time as property owners, the landlords on the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
If I may just state for the record that we do have the notifications to abutters in the file, and I also want to remind the commission that the special permit is for the restaurant beer and wine liquor permit. Later this evening, not too much later, will be the site plan application for the actual building itself and site improvements.
Just to confirm, there was some comment made that the sign, they're coming back for a variance for the sign? Or is part of this?
That should be
Part of the site plan?
correct.
Okay. Hearing no comment from the public, we'll go to the commissioners. Start with you, Commissioner Lecco.
Yeah, I have just one question. You may have mentioned this, I may have missed it. Are you going to have outdoor seating with this restaurant?
I do not believe there's outdoor seating
Okay.
at this restaurant.
Okay. Okay.
Good?
Yep.
All right. Commissioner Desai, can we hear you? No, we can't.
He's gonna have to call in on his cell phone.
He's on the screen. Says he's.
It says it's
Can he
muted.
chat something?
Yeah, it says it's muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
No,
No?
I can try.
While technical staff is working on that, we'll go over to Commissioner Morhurst.
nothing.
Commissioner Robbins, we're having Commissioner Brescia sit for this, so we,
Go ahead.
no, you can ask. You
Oh,
can
I
ask
don't
for
have
what you
any- I
heard.
don't have anything.
Okay. Commissioner
see it.
Brescia?
So
Yeah, I
you're
can hear
basically,
you guys.
this proposal is the beer wine
Cannot hear you.
liquor, correct?
Okay, so I
this
can
part is
hear
just for
you
that.
and I can
And that's
see
no
you.
different than what Dakota's had, correct?
I have unmuted and everything.
best
so
of my
I don't
knowledge,
know
I
what's
believe
going
that's
on. And I tried John.
Okay, I have no
He's not
questions.
cell phone, so I don't know whether he is.
While we're waiting for Commissioner Desai, my question is, have you seen the memorandum from the engineering department to talk about, unless this is for the site?
Is that the site?
That's for the site. Scratch that. I have no questions.
Excellent.
Hold on one second while we work on Commissioner Desai. Otherwise,
you-
we could probably have him type in the chat or something.
So I can, so,
Trying to get your voice heard.
all right, so can you see me though?
Can you,
We can see you, but we
Okay.
cannot
why
hear
can't
you.
you put that phone to the mic? Can you put him on speaker and put
I
him to the
can
mic?
try to do that.
I can try to put
Yeah,
you
you,
Put you on speaker.
Hold him up to the
Okay.
microphone,
my
No,
phone.
my phone is,
Should be good. Hang on.
right to the microphone.
I think I just hung up on him, which is fine. Are you there?
yep, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Not yet. I have to get you back. Hey, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Put you on mute. Put your mic on mute, on your phone. On your phone.
Okay, how about
Now
now?
we can talk.
Can you hear me?
No, he's muted now.
If it's on mute,
Because it's muted.
He's muted. You gotta mute this.
I'm muting, I'm holding my finger on the microphone.
then you won't be able to hear him. That's what
I know.
mute means.
That's what,
No, mute means
know.
you're miking your microphone on your phone,
I can't. Why?
so he doesn't get the feedback.
All right, can I
You won't
suggest?
hear him.
Can I suggest one thing?
Push
This
that.
isn't gonna work.
You can have Commissioner Robbins sit in for me, and I'll just listen.
You good with that?
I'm fine with that.
He missed the hearing, so we have to go just walk you through.
So because Commissioner Robbins came late, we'll go with 4 for this. So
Just hung up on him.
hearing no other questions,
Motion to close.
motion to close the public hearing.
You do it?
No,
Oh, motion to close the public hearing.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
get to you and later in the agenda. So next part of the meeting would be the public comment. Is there any public comment? This says this can be anything outside of the agenda. Hearing none, motion to pass the consent agenda.
Motion to pass the consent agenda action, minutes and action from May 18th, 2022.
Second.
I abstain, I wasn't at that meeting.
So
We'll have
sitting right now, so we're all on the same page. Commissioner Desai will be sitting. Commissioner Zerilli, Commissioner Morhurst, Commissioner Robbins. Right?
Yeah,
And
But
I mean,
he's,
But we
he's
can't-
disabled.
can he, I mean, is
He
he
can
part of
vote.
the
We
meeting now or
We
what?
can't. He's just listening. He
Okay,
indicated he was
so
just.
Commissioner Lecco, you will be sitting,
Okay, yep.
part of the meeting. And Commissioner Desai, you will be an alternate until we get you working.
Okay, but we have a motion on the floor.
So I seconded it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, now we need a vote.
Yeah,
Okay. He can't be seated, he wasn't here.
right, so you're abstaining,
I'm abstaining, yes.
so it's us three.
Okay.
So all in favor?
Aye.
And one abstain. So we have 3 yeses and 1 abstain. Agenda item A, special permit application. Incorporated, DBA Longhorn Steakhouse, proposing a restaurant, beer, wine, and liquor permit for property located at the former location of Dakota Restaurant at 1489 Silestine Highway in an RC Regional Commercial Zoning District ID 04-557.
Motion to approve the special permit application for Rare Hospital International, Inc., DBA Longhorn Steakhouse.
Second.
I don't have any comments.
I don't either, and just to confirm who is sitting for this, Commissioner Zerilli, Commissioner Moorhurst, Commissioner Lecco, Commissioner Brescia. Any other comments? I have no comments also. Move to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes. Congratulations.
Now you got to build the building.
Well, that's the next application. That's then,
Unless you
Agenda
go
item
drink in the
B,
parking
site
lot.
plan application. Courtney Earhart, JF4 Holdings LLC and Core States Group proposing a 5,710 square foot restaurant on the site of the former Dakota Restaurant with related site modifications for property located at 1489 Silestine Highway in RC Regional Commercial Zoning District ID 04-557. Just to clarify, the sitting members are Commissioner Lecco, Zerilli, Moorhurst, Robbins,
And
Brescia.
Thanks, Victor.
poor woman gets left out of everything.
We're gonna get it right by the time we get to D. Is there any presentation along with this?
so,
Hello again.
Hello.
This is Joseph Kenny from Core States Group, and I can say my address one more time: 665 Washington Street, Boston, Massachusetts. And this specific agenda item is regarding the site plan submission for the Longhorn Steakhouse at 1489 Silestine Highway. And the facts and figures and information that I presented for the special permit will also apply here. I will go through a quick summary of the site-specific information. There is an existing Dakota Steakhouse at this property. We are proposing a Longhorn Steakhouse to replace this, and our design intent of the new establishment has always been to be as consistent as possible with the previous establishment in nature. So the site is located at 1489 Silestine Highway, as I mentioned. The size of the property is approximately 0.3 acres. The building floor area is 5,710 square feet. The total number of seats inside the restaurant are 184 for the patrons. The approximate breakdown of the dining versus bar seats there is 170 for dining and approximately 14 at the bar itself. We have a 7-day-a-week open schedule, and the normal hours are 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and then 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. The total number of employees is set at a maximum of 25 per shift, and there are 3 shifts overall that overlap with each other, so our estimate is around 90 total employees, which includes both full and part-time. The approximate number of meals that is served every day is 200 for lunch and approximately 400 for dinner. give or take, whether it's on the weekday or weekend. There's typically a slight uptick on the weekend, but those are our approximate numbers. The gross revenue from alcohol sales will be below 20%. And a typical standalone Longhorn Steakhouse requires approximately 120 to 125 parking spaces, which we accomplish at the site due to the shared parking that is within the entire lot establishment. And in terms of the trash, Longhorn typically has 2 trash bins and also recycles cardboard. So the pickup is approximately 4 times a week. All deliveries and pickups are coordinated before 10 a.m. And I will give a quick overview of the Longhorn Steakhouse brand. They are full-service casual dining restaurants serving both lunch and dinner. They emphasize high quality and appeal to all guests that are welcome, with its distinctive combination of attentive, personalized service and flavorful entrees served in an inviting, comfortable atmosphere. And every day in every Longhorn location across the country, team members spend extra time to prepare, package, freeze, and store unserved surplus food for donations to local food banks, shelters, and other charitable organizations. And the numbers since 2007 have been approximately 12.5 million pounds of food to help those in need. So the food itself is the highest quality, and they really do take measure in order to donate when needed. And in a couple or any other design requirements, as I mentioned previously during a special permit portion of the presentation, we are decreasing the impervious coverage at the site, and we are proposing an increase in the amount of landscaping that is at the property, and that will be due to the conversion of 17 shared parks to the northwest corner of this property to landscape. And with that, our impervious coverage has decreased along with the runoff volume at the site. So we hope that is in good standing with the board and the town. And we have received a list of comments from the Wetland Planning and Zoning and Wetland Agency previously. I believe the date was in May. And we received those comments and addressed each one of them in kind in our submission to the town for the site plan application. So I apologize, there was a site plan application piece, and then there was a wetland portion piece of this submittal. And we had our response to those planning and zoning comments in the wetland portion of that submission. So we addressed each of them in kind and were able to update that in the plan set that was submitted to the town. And with that, I'll bring a close to my presentation for this Longhorn Steakhouse, and we'll open to any questions that the board may have.
Could you, just for the commission's sake, I'm not a voting member on the commission, I serve as staff, just the typical site plan application review process does review drainage, landscaping. You did talk about, impervious coverage and converting 17 spaces to green space. You do typically talk about, keep in mind that was a special permit application for a restaurant liquor permit. Now we're talking about the site plan, so if you could review any of the site plan issues, such as the signs requiring variances, signage, traffic flow, number of parking spaces, drainage, landscaping, building materials.
Sure, I'd be happy to. In terms of the signage, as I mentioned previously during special permit, and now we are on to site plan. So the plan presented is compliant with all zoning regulations. No variances or other relief are required. However, a variance will be requested for the proposed signage, which would allow an additional number of wall signs and also to exceed the maximum square footage allowed for wall signs. So in terms of the signage, we are anticipating to request a variance in that regard. And then in terms of the transportation conditions, our design does have ample parking due to the size of the shared parking in this lot. It is among other businesses and we do not anticipate it will disrupt the regular flow of traffic on public roads or within the actual property itself. And the new establishment is consistent of the previous establishment in nature, where there should not be adverse effects regarding safety in the streets or significant increased traffic congestion in the area or interference with any patterns of vehicle circulation. And in terms of our Longhorn Steakhouse, the parking area will be of adequate size for our establishment, and we believe that it will be able to accommodate all patrons at any time of the week. So that was always part of our design. And then in terms of utilities and stormwater, as I mentioned, there's a decrease in the impervious coverage, and we will be reusing the MDC public water and public sanitary sewer connections. The storm drainage facilities are in place as a result of the prior development of the site, and there will be a discharge into the state highway drainage system to model the previous Dakota Steakhouse that was at this property. And I will just quickly look through to see if there's any other points I would like to mention. I think I have covered most of it, but I can open back up to questions.
So we'll go from to my left, Commissioner Lecco. Any questions?
Yeah, could you explain a little bit about the shared parking? Is this a separate lot than on the border, or is this a combined lot? And how does the shared parking work? Is it an agreement, or just to expand upon that a little bit?
Sure. So, to the best of my knowledge, there is shared parking for the entire 6.1 acre parcel, and the parking layout is open. So there is parking that is shared between the establishments within this property lot. So I believe there's 500 plus parking spaces in the entire lot itself, and we account for 22 at the Longhorn Steakhouse that is directly connected to the curb cut of our building, and then everything else is what we think of as that shared parking. So as part of our submission, we put together a parking summary that, like I said, to the best of our knowledge, broke out each parking designation as either shared or to a certain property that is within that lot.
I see.
If you want, I can come back.
Come back to me. I had another thought, but I
No
forgot
problem, we
about
can
it.
come back. Before I go any further, you mentioned that you're in front of other boards and commissions. Is that true, Kim? And
As of this point in time, there are no variance applications applied for.
Okay.
So the commission would have to.
okay, making sure. Commissioner Moorhurst,
I'm all set.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yeah, I'm just, it looks like the footprint of the new building is actually smaller than Dakota's, so that you gained some additional parking closer to the building. Is that how you have it set up? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any real major concerns. I just know from experience that, that when On the Border is doing something special, that parking lot gets packed. And even though there's shared parking, the immediate parking around the two restaurants can fill up quickly. So then the walking distance for somebody moving further away from the two buildings, I guess the question is, if somebody parks far away from your restaurant because it fills up, is there adequate lighting in your plan? In both in that back parking lot behind the building, and then possibly over in these other parking lots that probably are in front of the former motor lodge there or wherever, so that people can safely walk over to your restaurant?
Yes. As part of our design, it was not part of this submittal for the site plan application, but we did contract a lighting company to do the existing lighting study at the site and they determined that there were a couple areas that they need to improve. So they have a proposed lighting plan as well that adds additional lighting around the proposed Longhorn Steakhouse. And in one instance, we actually had to move a light pole as well because it was currently at the edge of the Dakota. And since, as you mentioned, we have a smaller building footprint, we had to relocate it so that it was closer to our building. So in our model, we are confident that in the area around the Dakota, or around the Longhorn Steakhouse, that there's adequate lighting for anyone that may need to travel. In terms of further beyond the restaurant, I believe that they had the existing lighting model that showed that it would be sufficient for most of the parking at the site. The one stretch of parking to the northwest that's being converted to landscaping, if my memory serves me correctly, that was the only area that was deficient. And now that it will just be landscaping instead of parking, we didn't see the need to improve the lighting in that area.
So where is that specific location to the northwest?
Yes.
Yeah, where is it?
It's if you're looking at the Longhorn Steak or the Dakota Longhorn Steakhouse, it's in the parking lot to the west of that, and it's the northern row of parking that I believe there's 17 spots there currently in the existing dumpster.
Look at this thing.
Oh, look at that one. All right.
The existing dumpster is to the east. of this.
Planting plan shows it. Is that
Yes.
page 3 on the site?
Okay, oh, I see it. All right, yeah, I have no further questions.
Commissioner Brescia.
So, did you say there was a lighting study and a plan? Did you give that to us?
That was not part of this submission. I believe it will be part of the building submission. So we do have the plan. We just did not have it submitted as part of this package, I believe.
Okay. No, what's that?
You can ask for it. We do have regulations about casting glare onto adjacent properties, but the only thing being affected here would be that property itself.
Okay. And I'm just looking, is the front of the entrance on the northwest? Is that the front? That,
The entrance to the Longhorn is on the east of the building. So the ADA parking is directly opposite of where the entrance would be.
okay.
And that is the only actual entrance to the Longhorn as well.
Okay. And that area is lit, you have good lighting plans for that?
Correct.
And how many parking spaces do you have?
There are 22 surrounding the establishment, and I need to look at the actual number, but the shared parking was somewhere, I think it was 180, 190 shared parks, and that was based on the parking summary that we provided. So if there's a correction that needs to be made to that, we can certainly do that.
Okay. Where, can you tell me where the closest hydrant is to your building?
I believe it's on the western parking island that is directly across from the building.
It's right here. Number T.
So approximately 370 for the whole parcel,
Oh, you're talking about back.
including shared parking,
Yep.
yes.
And you said the hydrant was where?
It is the parking island that is directly west of the restaurant. That is the restaurant, and then there's a there's a drive aisle, and then the hydrant is right on the other side of that drive
Is
aisle.
that where the animal place is?
It's before the parking lot of the actual motel.
It's right here.
Okay, yeah, I'm just curious.
Right. So one right to the side, and then there's one directly behind the restaurant as well. Thank you.
Okay. And for signage, are we addressing that later, or is that?
It's all part of it.
All part of it. How many additional signage were you looking to do, or what, like, what was, you said you were looking for a variance for signage to do more?
That goes to zoning board. Just so the commission is aware, the zoning board of appeals will have to act on the signs.
Okay,
So,
'cause I-
so the zoning board of appeals is in charge of acting on the signs.
so
What
it's
would
not-
happen is that would have to come back here, as part of this,
So
so.
we can leave it out of this, it goes to them, and then it comes back to us.
Well, we have to also go over the building materials and what the architecturals look like, but that can then come back here, and then you'll be able to make a decision.
Could I just ask a procedural question? If we were to approve this for what we have in front of us, they'll come back before us again with details of the building.
Well, the details of the building are in your package. They haven't presented them yet.
Yeah.
But are they going to be presenting them tonight?
You'd have to ask them.
He said he was finished with his presentation.
I don't know if he is or not. The details of the building haven't been presented
But I
yet,
mean-
as far as, architecturals and
And while we're talking about, you're gonna have to introduce yourself again, and
Yep.
for the record and everything else. Well, as, to piggyback on Commissioner Moorhurst, and talk about the signs are not part of this site plan because they have to go through ZBA first.
they would have to go through zoning board of appeals first.
So we're gonna leave them out of this for if we decide to either.
Or
any-
you could table it.
Okay.
And they would have to reapply, they would have to apply to zoning board of appeals for their next meeting
Okay,
to be on that next month's agenda, and then they would come back here.
okay. So there's no sense in us having them go through the signs because it has to go to zoning board appeal anyway.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay,
but you
just make
can
sure.
do the architectural.
Yeah, correct. Okay.
So, just to clarify, if we could approve everything but the signs,
We don't approve the signs, the zoning board of appeal would approve the signs.
okay.
You won't
And
be
then they
able
have to come back to us.
They can come back to us, and then we look at the signs.
That's why I'm thinking you may want to just table, have them go back to ZBA, deal with the signs. Typically, that's what would happen. This was,
We should have them present the
this was
building
a, because of the great distance and the Zoom meetings we had to do, it was kind of difficult for staff as well to work on this project because the parties that worked on the plans are all out of state. So it was very difficult. We did Zoom meetings for reviews. But typically, the variances could be applied for simultaneously. That's usually what happens, or they're applied for, prior to. In this case, they're doing things a little differently. So I would recommend that, because this may all change, if the variances are not granted,
It changes.
this may change something with respect to the building. I don't know.
Jim Fazio, a property owner. Kim, as Commissioner was saying, wouldn't we be able to approve this, but not the signage, which is a separate issue? That's the only problem I understand that I hear here.
Okay, well, I don't know what the commission's
That'll be
thoughts are.
our motion.
It's
Yeah.
up to them.
Yes, I know.
One of the things that we have to consider it all.
Yeah.
The signage is a major portion of the site plan application. So we need to deliberate here what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Understood.
So it may be tabled a month. I don't know. They could approve it. They could approve it with conditions.
Yeah.
Let's wait and
They
see
could-
what we do.
yeah, there's a bunch of
before you
different
say,
things they
look,
could do.
we
Well, I was
could.
going to give them all the
Yeah.
options.
Well,
So,
we have the options.
that's correct.
Yeah.
So Commissioner Brescher, are you all set?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna try to give Commissioner Desai one more shot before I speak. Commissioner Desai,
There he is.
hold on.
He's talking.
Is he on your phone?
No, he's not on my phone. No,
Can you hear me?
Nice.
Okay,
No.
Is chatting an option?
we cannot hear you, Commissioner Desai, so we're gonna have to pass on you again. I'm sorry. As far as my comments were mostly about the signs and the extent of the signs and the rationale behind the signs. So I don't know what other commissioners are thinking, but I think we should possibly table this application because it needs to go before zoning board of appeals.
Okay.
And with that, they can come back, they can present the building, they can present the architecture, because the signs are a major portion of the building. So with that, I'm going to make a motion to table the application.
Do you want a motion, or are you making the motion?
I'm making the motion.
Okay. With conditions on, for what are we tabling it to get?
I would wish to table the application with the presentation of signs and building facade to be spoken about at the next meeting while we wait for ZBA to rule on signage.
And could I amend that and add a,
Second it first, and then you can amend it.
oh, I'll second it. I'm the one that's supposed to say stuff like that. And also add an accurate parking count, since he said, I think it's, to get a little more detail on the actual parking.
I accept that condition. If you accept my condition that we make sure that the lighting plan is part of the next presentation.
Yes.
That makes sense, too. Okay. So I'll second all of that.
Okay, so we have a condition that is the signage. The condition is that a lighting plan is presented, and a condition that the presentation of the facade of the building is part of the motion. So everybody sitting at this table will be voting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're getting it. We're getting it.
Huh?
We're getting it.
Oh, it's not you.
Agenda item C, street acceptance, Valentine Builders, Kim Adams, for the construction completion of the extension of Southbrook Road of approximately 375 lineal feet off of the south side of Brook Street in an R20 residential zoning district.
Just a point of order. These people aren't going to be doing anything more tonight, so you can ask them. They could leave if they want to,
Oh,
Yes.
unless they're involved in the,
yeah, they can
okay.
hang if they want.
Try to be nice.
Yeah,
Jim?
yeah, go ahead.
Jim?
You guys are done if you wanted to
Yeah, if you wanted
leave.
to leave, you can. That's up to you. That's
Thank you.
entirely up to you.
We'll see you in a couple months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take care.
Is there anybody here to present Valentine Builders?
Just so the commission is aware, we did have staff, we did do a detailed punch list. We got that to Kim Adams at Valentine Builders. Based upon some of the items on the punch list, they have asked that this be continued to next month.
So,
It's going to be tabled.
table.
Motion to table, street acceptance, Valentine Builders, Kim Adams.
Second. Again, everybody at this table is voting on this application, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No opposed? I'm supposed to hit this. Agenda item D, pre-application, Stephanie Place LLC, care of Conover Residential, review for a possible redevelopment of excess land to the rear of 1800 Silestine Highway. Two 36-unit apartment buildings with 6,000 square feet of clubhouse with one on-site improvements and access connection to the abutting complex of Greenfield Village, ID 04-412. Just, I was wondering if staff can go over the rules of a pre-application for everybody in the audience and at the table, so we're all on the same page.
Okay, so people are aware, this is what is called a pre-application. There is no formal application before the commission this evening. There will be no decision made this evening. The applicant will be presenting something that may be a potential application coming before the commission as a possible applicant. The commission will be listening to what they have to say. You can certainly provide guidance on that. You cannot say, if you came before us today, we will accept it or we would deny it. You can give guidance, you can give suggestions on things that we consider under our site plan regulations or special permit regulations. The feedback given by the commission is non-binding, meaning should they decide to apply in the future, anything that you said here today is not part of the record of what happens down the road. That will have a separate legal record. Anything that a possible applicant states at the podium tonight, that is non-binding. So when and if they do come back as a possible applicant, anything that is stated by them this evening, it's also non-binding, and that has no bearing on a possible future application. So there is a procedure and process in our regulations that feel free to review, and that is why they're here, to get some feedback on the idea. So, with that said.
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Robin Pearson. I'm an attorney with the firm of Alter and Pearson in Glastonbury, Connecticut, and I'm pleased to be here this evening with our pre-application review. We are familiar with the requirements of your Section 9B, and we are interested in securing some feedback from you about your general impressions of the proposal that we would like to continue to work on and submit to this commission for consideration. But this is, as you'll note as we get further into it, a rather unique site and has some quirks with regard to your zoning regulations that, more than even usual, I think, necessitate our coming to you for some feedback. So again, I said I'm Robin Pearson. I'm here this evening with Newt Brainerd, who is the Vice President of Development for, basically for Conover. And Conover, through Stepney Place LLC, owns Stepney Place, which is at 1800 Silestine Highway. He's joined by Christine Victor, who is a Development and Acquisitions Associate, and together they've been conferring with my office and also with staff about what might be done with the rest of their Stepney Place property. Unfortunately, I had encouraged them to bring a plan with them this evening that would show an aerial of their property and its relationship to an abutting property. And I gather I have been the one who's been remiss in not getting it somehow onto your equipment so I can pull down the screen and show it to you. So I'm going to just go over, you do have handouts that are colored that were part of our application, which showed you, gave you a narrative as to what it was we are interested in doing with the property, and it also had a concept plan, which is one of your requirements, for you to take a look at, and we can go through it in a little more detail. But with regard to what we have to show you this evening, Stepney Place, as I mentioned, is at 1800 Silestine Highway. It does constitute apartments. There are 139 apartments at Stepney Place. It's an older complex. It's been in existence for a while, and your regulation, the site it's on is a very large one, and it consists of two zones, though it's only one parcel. You have the RC zone and an R20 zone on this property. The RC abuts Silestine Highway, and the R20 portion is sort of behind the developments that exist on Silestine Highway. But again, it's all part of one parcel. And the site itself was home to both the apartments and to a commercial use. There was a second building in addition to the apartment buildings on the site that was used for commercial purposes, but the owner would now like to upgrade Stepney Place by adding units on the undeveloped portion of the site and a clubhouse on the property in lieu of that commercial use. And for many reasons that we'll go into tonight, we think it's truly the best use for this particular piece of property, but we want to make sure that you share our opinion before we spend a lot of time going forward with this proposal. Specifically, what we'd like to do is to construct up to 72 units in two new 3-story buildings on the undeveloped portion. This would also include a 6,000 square foot clubhouse and outdoor amenity space accommodating management and leasing offices, a much-needed fitness center, work-from-home spaces, a community room, and a cafe area. The clubhouse and community space would be located between the existing and proposed apartments. And the redevelopment proposal will include extensive landscaping, other amenities such as contemplation areas, specialty gardens, fire pits, and outdoor grills. The clubhouse and new outside amenities will also be made available to the residents of the adjacent Greenfield Village complex, which is another older multifamily complex which is owned by a related Conover entity. Now, what I just gave you is an overview. Mr. Brainerd will go through that in more detail with you, but I've often said that anything to be said should be said 3 times before anybody really hears you anyway. So that he is going to go through it in more detail. Please don't feel like I've covered all those points as we proceed right now. I'm going to ask Kim, do you have anything on file that we could project up here?
I do not.
You do not.
Not
Can they go to
here.
the website and go to the meeting and the PDF and pull up the PDF?
Now, we can show you on our computer, because we have it on our computer.
or even Google Maps and just an aerial of the.
Yeah, I don't know if he has that.
He's doing something right here, so, because
Ability
he at least
to
can
do
show the
that.
PDF that was presented.
There's a magic person in the back there who's taking care
Yeah,
of
we can
this
see
for
it.
us.
The man
I don't
behind
know,
the
I think he's
curtain.
We
doing
need to
that
lower,
now.
actually, you probably can see it
Going
right.
to the packet right now. He's going to go to the packet.
He's going to the package, which at least has the materials we gave to
Planning and
you.
zoning.
Okay,
Planning
and
and
what
zoning.
I'm going to do is walk around right now while
Meeting
he's setting that
packets.
up
Here we go.
and just show you an aerial, which we'll leave with you, and you can look from this.
I do want to, for the record, I do want to state now, keep in mind, you can keep going. This is a pre-application, but I do just want to state that we as staff did a little preliminary review, because one of my comments immediately was, is there a connection with the abutting property for emergency access? And I did run it by our fire marshal, just so there was some feedback. There is the ability to connect, and there is an access driveway immediately abutting. The island would have to be widened out on the Marshall Road property, and then some spaces, if need be, would have to be relocated, and there certainly is adequate land to do that on the Marshall Road property. So there is a
Those
way.
comments?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
In fact, what I'm going to also pass around is the diagram that planning staff provided us after speaking with the fire marshal. And that also gives you a little, I'll tear it from my file.
we do have that in our.
So in
Now,
front is the
Are these
sketchy-
part of the record? There's no record for this.
There is no record because there's.
So what she's handing out goes back to her?
That would go back to, I mean, we do have it in our file, but that was something we just got
Got it.
back from the fire marshal.
So I
But
see
keep in
we're
mind,
still.
this will be, should an application come in, this will be
Correct.
a separate application.
And we're still scanning through. Okay, here we go. You just passed our application. Can we put this up on the screen then now?
Next,
It's on the screen. Oh, the big, yeah.
Oh, but are you going to project it up here or no? Oh, it's on your screen, sitting in
Yeah, we
front of
see
you.
it. We see
You
what you're
see it.
talking about.
Got
yeah.
it. Okay, great.
yeah.
Okay, so if we can scroll through this then a little bit further and get to the site plan?
But,
That should be there.
so here's,
That's no different than one.
That's the summary I basically just went through for you.
We have them. I
Yes?
just wanted to make sure that they have it for
It is, I
the
mean,
record,
sideways.
Okay,
the
all right.
visual record. But we have them, so if you want to, while they're pulling that up, he can orient it to the screen for the presentation.
It's not showing up anyway up there, is it? It's
Yeah.
on this side.
It's,
Oh, don't worry about it then.
that's fine.
We can take that
Yeah,
up.
We have it.
We
here.
have it.
We can see it here.
All right, Newt, why don't you come up and introduce yourself, and we'll just go through it, and I'll take notes.
Sure, we can figure this out. My name is Newton Brainerd. We're a vice president with the Simon Conover Company. Do you need my address?
Sure.
452 Joshua Town Road in Lyme, Connecticut. Thanks for having us tonight. I'll just give a little overview on the existing property, how it sits today, and then we can talk through the site plan a little bit, and I'm happy to take any questions. So, as Robin was explaining, I'm going to kind of walk around a little bit. Is that right? Or do you need to?
You need to be on the microphone.
Yes.
So the worst case scenario is you have to have a stick
Yes.
mic.
Or you can just.
I
they
think it's
have
fine.
one-
We have it.
Anyway, so the
We have it.
I'll do this.
We have
it.
everything.
The handout that
Yep.
we have shows the two properties, I would call them, which is Stephanie Place Apartments, 185 apartments that we've owned for 40 or 50 years, which is a 5-story elevated apartment building right on Silestine Highway. As part of the 9-acre site, there is this long panhandle that you saw that does house about a 6,500 square foot commercial building that has been leased by, I think for the last 15 years, by the international electrical contractors. They recently moved out to a larger building, and we have been looking internally about what to do, whether we want to release it or what the market is, and that's taken us down this road for looking for the highest and best use of not only the building, but then we have all this wooded area that's behind it. So as we started down the road looking at what to do, it became apparent that the size of the parcel was such that it could probably house some additional development. And the other part of it is this, that we had 5 years ago purchased 179 of the 231 condominiums that are Greenfield Village, which is next door. A previous multifamily owner had run it as apartment community for many years. Equity Residential, one of the biggest apartment holders in the country. So when they put it up for sale, we purchased it as the abutter. So we have currently 370 units, or give or take, between the two communities. It's a relatively big community. We manage them both. We manage the condo association. They collectively share a pool up here in this corner that is actually owned by Greenfield Village, but Stephanie Place has an ability to use it through an agreement. So management is currently all together. The property needs some centralized management and amenities to upgrade it, in my mind, a little bit. For that many units, we don't supply a ton of outdoor amenities or indoor amenities, modern amenities. So we started looking at putting up a brand new clubhouse of some size that would really replace this 6,000 square foot building. So the idea came around, and our proposal is for a modern clubhouse you would see in your other newer communities in Rocky Hill that would house our management and leasing office, modern gym, modern work from home offices, cafe, all the stuff you typically, lounge spacing, game areas, bathrooms, all those things. And then it would spill out into an outdoor amenity area that would be beautifully landscaped with fire pits and barbecue areas and the like. So we believe that then is a great amenity which upgrades the entire community.
It's my parents' house.
Of all
Used
of
to
the
be mine.
360 units. So our plan that is before you is to
used to be our
add kind of a third leg to this two-legged stool of Stephanie Place in Greenfield Village, to build an additional 72 units in two 36-unit, 3-story walk-up buildings. So it'd be slightly bifurcated on the site by the clubhouse, which would be in the front where the existing IEC building is. It would creep a little bit into the excess parking that we have right now on that panhandle of Stephanie Place. So the units would be, studios, 1s, 2s, and probably a few 3s, kind of a typical unit mix that you'd see in the marketplace these days. Not, it would not be designed necessarily for people to raise their families there for a long time. We have been building consistently over the last 12 years in Connecticut, this very same building structure and community, and we've been building and developing similar communities up in suburban Portland, Maine, and they have been very, very well received by both the renting public and the municipalities that we have come into and done it. So this, for us, is something a little different. It's using a empty piece of land in an existing community to both bring some new units online as well as to enhance the community.
Just to make sure that you should be, so you can be on the record.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
So anyway, using an unused piece of land that we own that looks like a good spot for us to both add to the current 2 communities that we have there, through the amenities and the modern clubhouse, and then bringing some new units on. So that's really our thought, and it makes a lot of sense for me or for us as developers to come in and hear what you guys want to say, because we've been there in this town for a long time, and we have been successful building communities in Connecticut, and think we could do a good job, and that both the clubhouse and the new units would be accretive to the community of our 2 apartment communities, as well as the community at large here in Rocky Hill.
Okay, so we can start with questions.
Sure.
Commissioner Lecco.
You said that this parcel has 2 different zoning designations. What is the zoning designation for this particular area?
Here's, and maybe you can walk around and show them this. It is odd. Again, it's 1 parcel. The front piece is RC, which is regional commercial. So it's a commercial use.
So yeah, it's this one right here. Yep.
And the rest of the,
So past the existing building that you want to demolish is R20.
yes, that's fair, yes. So the rest of it is R20.
RC and R20.
And
okay.
R20, but for this multifamily use, would allow no business type uses, institutional type uses including schools, churches, and community buildings for nonprofit organizations, agricultural uses, farms, livestock, commercial greenhouses, and cemeteries, public utility facilities, public and private recreational facilities, and any other use similar to use permitted by special permit in a residential district as determined by the commission. So what's unique about the R20 zone on this particular piece of property is that your residential uses that are allowed in the R20 zone include multifamily only where that multifamily use was established as of 2006.
Right.
So the multifamily use has been established on this piece of property as of 2006. My personal interpretation is that any multifamily development, I believe it would be allowed, and the reason I think it's allowed is because if it was meant that the Stepney Place apartments be a legal existing non-conforming use, you would not have, or prior commissions, would not have allowed this use as part of the use that's allowed in the R20 zone. So it allows multifamily, where multifamily use has been established since 2006. This is unusual, I admit. I'm not sure I've ever seen it anywhere else before, but it seems to make sense. And in fact, in conferring with ourselves and town staff, we do believe the use makes a lot of sense. It's behind existing commercial uses. It's going to be a benefit both for an existing use as well as shared communal benefit for the Greenfield Village uses, which are behind it. So it sort of further integrates those communities. Multifamily is not allowed in the RC zone either. So, this is an odd duck. And I guess what we're saying is we think we can make it work. We'd have to adhere to the height requirements of the R20 zone and not be able to build to the height of the existing Stepney Place apartments. Those are indeed legally non-conforming as to that at this point. And we can meet the other standards, height, and we can talk about this a little bit further if it seems that you think that this is not out of line in terms of a possible use for this property. We have a
Just so, this is conceptual, so you don't
Totally
really have to get in,
conceptual.
you don't have to get into the weeds on
Okay.
on where you want to go.
All right.
You can just keep it at a high level, 100,000 foot level.
General uses,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Because we're not ruling on anything, it's just
Nope.
conceptual. So
We understand.
we understand your passion, we just want to make sure we stay at the right level so we don't get too detailed.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, that was my principal question, was about the use. The only other comments I can make is potential issues associated with neighbors and things like that would be vegetative screening. Try to keep some trees as much as possible, compare the heights of that building to adjacent buildings, look at shadow effects and things like that, because it's a very narrow, tight lot. I drove through there the other day and I was like, it's, you're squeezing something in there and it's close to existing residential properties.
I think on the positive side, you're going from the mostly single to two-story retail uses, commercial uses on Silestine, and we are facing the backs of those. And then behind us is our right, basically, is our own community. So the amount of neighbors that we're actually, we're not getting in front of any neighbors but ourselves, quite honestly. And from a progression, we're going from a 5-story apartment kind of down to a 3, and then Greenfield Village is a 2-story. So it makes a little bit of sense from a continuum.
Step down.
Yeah, but of course, we will screen and do all those things.
Of course, you'll have to look and see if there's any wetlands in that
I don't.
area.
Of course.
Obviously,
I don't
it's
think
not,
there is.
that's not our purview, but
It's
just
really an infill.
something else.
It's a city infill site that has no particular use back there. It's kind of odd. It's a little weird and narrow. Just, the footprint seems to fit decently, quite honestly.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's all I
Okay.
have.
Commissioner Moorhurst.
I don't have anything specific. It's most of the questions that we're all going to have are when you have an actual site plan and an application, and we're actually don't have any idea about that. But just some things to look into or to keep in mind when you do come in would be traffic flow, emergency vehicles. I mean, you don't have to be told this, but I might as well mention them anyway.
That's why we're here.
Commissioner Moorhurst, traffic flow or traffic study?
Traffic flow, and a traffic study also, I'm sorry, good point. How much increased traffic will be generated, emergency vehicles. Keep in mind, considering the neighbors, you don't have to tell us what you're going to put up now, but make sure that's covered in your site plan. And actually, that's just about it, because these are kind of interrelated. But other than that, I can't really ask anything specific because we don't know what your real final plan is going to look like.
Of course, and we're here to just get a feel for whether, you know, if you guys are like, what are you talking about? We would never allow it.
Exactly.
Then we're happy to keep on managing our 2 apartment communities there and do something different with the site. We're just, you're trying to get your general feedback on the potential use that is a little bit out of the box, which Robin has, but we think relatively appropriate.
Yeah, and I think you've had meetings, and you'll probably be talking to Kim and the planning department in the future, so they'll steer you the right way. That's all I have.
Commissioner Robbins?
What does a related conover entity mean?
Each of the 2 communities, which are abutting each other, they're managed by one entity, which is Conover Residential Corporation, and we manage about 6,500 apartments in the state of Connecticut, plus other states we have additional. So the management right now is done by one company, and if we add some more, it'll be done by one company. The ownership are in just different single-purpose entities that are the ownership structure, which are Conover family owned. So the makeup of it might be slightly different, but it's controlled by the same people, which is the Conover family, who's owned it for.
So is Greenfield Village owned by?
Well, sorry, let me finish. I messed up. Greenfield
That's
Village is
for
a
Stephanie.
condominium association.
Yeah.
So it's owned by 231 individual
Okay.
condo owners. Our entity happens to own 179 of the 231. But each one of those is an individual.
Controlling interest.
Right. And we manage the condo board. So sorry, I messed that one up.
Yeah, again, it's a pre-app, so just the things that might come out of the questions that would come out of this is one, we would need confirmation that multifamily in the R20 is clearly, as you stated, right, an acceptable use for this particular parcel. The access and egress for emergency vehicles, especially large fire trucks, I'm sure that'll come up. You got an emergency access gate on here, which looks like it's discharging into Greenfield Village, and that you would have to create some kind of connector road to get over to the parking lot.
Right now, if you were to do it, it's through a driveway, through a driveway that's certainly wide enough. It would have to be improved and all those things. We were just looking for an egress at the end of the property, and that would be an appropriate one.
No, I know. I'm just saying, these are just the things for further, that, questions to be asked in the future. I'm not asking them now. Just give me a heads up. And I guess that's emergency, so you only have one in and out, which is over where Stepney Place is onto Silestine.
And Stepney has several ways out.
Yeah, they got one over onto Marshall Road,
Right, they have
and
two-
then
they have
Silestine.
2 ways out.
Yeah.
Correct.
So when you're looking at a traffic study, you want to focus on, you got a light that's not exactly where you discharge into Silestine. So, it's going to back up at times. So somebody's going to be trying to come out, or somebody's trying to turn in. We want to just see something to show that there's not some safety concerns with people
Absolutely.
trying to make those left-hand turns in the southbound traffic, trying to cross 2 lanes. The other thing too is this particular parcel, because I used to be the paper boy for Greenfield, well, when it was Colonial Apartments when I was a kid. And I was there when the Stepney Tower went up in flames, delivering the papers. This particular parcel, the southernmost portion of this parcel, prior probably to Conover being involved, if you go back to the Colonial Apartments, they dumped a lot of stuff back there. They dumped a lot of cuttings and stuff. There may be a concern of, excess landscaping, pesticides and herbicides, you might want to consider, for everybody's
Okay.
sake, to just test the soil, make sure there's not any evidence of residual pesticides and insecticides, plus this was former farmland.
Sure.
And then, other than that, I don't have anything else to add, I guess, just other than, lighting.
Okay.
You're gonna, just like you heard before, there's gotta be adequate lighting.
Absolutely, yep. We agree with that.
All set, Commissioner Robbins?
Yep.
Okay, Commissioner Brescia?
Thank you very much for coming in with this type of idea. I think it's wonderful to look at people's ideas when they see stuff. But I would also be like looking to see
Yeah, but then I would have to
how
sit
this
down on
could fit in
everything.
with our percentage of
have to
affordable
sit down on
housing that we
everything.
need to make sure that we track very efficiently
It was
and that
30
we
years
keep a good eye on. So that would be something to consider when you're proposing the final package. You said there's gonna be like 3 stories?
What we'd like to do is 3 stories, so
Okay.
they're identical 32, 36-unit buildings that would be 3-story walk-ups.
Okay.
And they're really pods of 12, so there'd be 3 entrances on each building.
And elevators?
No elevators, walk-up.
Walk up. If you have handicapped people, people
We-
with accessibility needs?
Right, we meet the regulation of accessibility and adaptability in all of our buildings.
So
So they're on the first, they would be on the first floor.
So they'd be on the, okay.
Yeah.
It's more site plan, Commissioner. We just want to
Oh,
make
yeah.
sure we stay,
Well, all right.
No,
Say hi.
we're very aware of it, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I
They all
very
have
well.
regulations.
Well,
That would be a building code.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
we understand your passion. We just want to make sure we stay
Well-
consistent.
yeah,
We
okay.
noted it. Thank
Yes.
You said you built some of these types of buildings and you
Yes.
said one in Maine? Any in Connecticut?
We are currently building, we just finished a property down in East Lyme last year, and we are currently building 2 different communities up in suburban Portland, Maine.
Where's the one in Lyme?
The one in East Lyme is between exit 73 on the north side. Do you know where the new Costco is? Down there? That's a lot of people.
I know where the prison is.
It's east of the prison. It's right on I-95. It's between exit 73 and 74 on the northbound side of I-95. It's 400
Big development.
apartments and a Costco.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yep. We brought those, a modern suburban apartment community to the town of East Lyme, which didn't have any modern apartment product at all. It's been very successful. down there.
Kinda cool.
Yep.
Okay. And I know you talked about fire pits and contemplation areas and whatnot, and that's all great. Just make sure they're accessible to everybody.
Sure.
Um,
Please, yeah.
And meet code. That's
We like to meet code.
and spacing, just make sure there's enough
Mm-hmm.
spaces. And it's kind of cool. I was just thinking, what about like a walk-around path, like a pathway people can walk around?
Well,
Is there,
interestingly, as we develop, if we are successful here, as we develop more of that property, and as we would have upwards of 400 and something apartment, multifamilies back there, we would continue, we have a lot of sidewalks that we already have amongst the two communities, and we'd certainly link them all up, so you could have a bit, you could probably have a half-mile walk around. the
because I'd
entire
be
property.
interested to see what that would look like
Okay.
conceptually.
Sure.
I mean, I think that would be kind of like a great thing, like a connection somewhere. How about bicycles? Like, is there something
Yeah,
where?
the kids in the other 2 communities definitely, use the parking lots for their bicycles.
Yeah.
So we have an extensive sidewalk system in Greenfield Village already, and in Stephanie Village, so we could definitely look at that.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you for your comments.
One of the questions I would have is, when you come before us with a site plan, would the site plan include the existing towers? Because it's all one site now? Or is this going to be its own site plan? Because now that you're combining sharing uses and everything else, maybe it could be a question to staff, or it could be a question to the applicant. Is the site now the towers and this parcel? And the reason why I ask that is because as we look at affordable housing and everything else, the numbers could possibly change when we talk about site, because a big component of this, number one on our list, is affordable housing, and it has to be a component of anything that you do on this site. So I just wanted to throw that out, and there's a question on, the site plan has to be the towers, right? It's all one site now.
Like, now, this is a pre-application. but
Right. No, I'm just-
As the prior application was concentrating on a leased area, but they did have to take into account the entire site for shared parking. This, too, would have to take into account the entire site for, once again, the parking
Yep,
component.
I want to make sure we're on the same page when it
Yes.
comes to that. So the site
However,
plan is-
with respect to affordable housing, I know that on a preliminary basis, when I sat down with the potential applicant, we did mention the need for affordable housing and how I would certainly, should they apply for this, I would certainly ask them to put forth some affordable units.
I think you guys are going to give them a lot of guidance over the next few months, that's for sure.
So just with that, I echo some of the comments made, pedestrian flow. One of the things that we've done in the past is a school study, possible impact for children and whatever it is, as part of a traffic study, children's study, school study. Work with the town, they have a lot of good numbers. You can work with their numbers.
We're happy to do it. We also have actual real data from from our actual communities where we built this exact design. So you can we have the real numbers of how many school-age children from numerous, 3 or 4 communities built the same thing. So we have the real data, which I think is a lot better than some third party telling us what it's going to be, but we can give you whatever you like.
One of the things that we also like storyboards to show what it's actually going to look like,
Yeah.
materials.
Yep.
Also elevations, what it's going to look like from the towers, what it's going to look like from the adjoining property that you now own majority of, but still, you could sell that at any time, and the impact to what's going on there. Can't think of really anything else. The only other thing that, actually, no, I can't think of anything else.
Typical site plan application.
It's a typical site plan, really covers everything that we need to know.
Yeah.
Just some of the things that we've learned when it comes to an application like this is the more visuals that you can give and the more data that you can provide of the people who are actually going to live there, actually help the data, like, possible rents. Definitely have to address affordable housing, because that's a very big thing for us. And pedestrian movement, whether it's pedestrian, whether it's bicycles or whatever, around the site. And everybody else, I've mentioned everything else that we all talk about
No,
already.
it's all very helpful.
Oh, in the shrubbery and trees?
Yeah, landscape plan, site, lighting plan, the whole, we like cut-off lights, we like,
Yeah, that's all.
the photometrics, all part of the site plan, but
We're
we
used
like
to it all.
LED,
Yep.
we like, low-impact development, we like all that stuff, so it's all in our regs. I'm gonna give this one more shot. Commissioner Desai, looks like you're perched and ready to go,
Can you hear me?
Just wave.
and we still cannot hear you.
Oh my God.
So I gave it a shot on every time. Thank you for participating.
It does sound on, though. Jeez. it
Yeah,
does.
but unfortunately, we can't hear it. So I think we have no legal things, so I guess we're all set.
Well, we very much appreciate it, and I think I'm going to tell my client that what I heard was nobody thought that this proposed use simply would not work, and don't even think about it. So we will go back and try and pull all of this together in a manner that makes sense. We'll work with town staff, make sure we're on the right page, and hopefully we'll see you soon with an application. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to any other business, bylaws, review, and possible decision.
Whoa.
Okay,
I think,
it is
I
time.
have a couple of comments on the bylaws, but I think maybe we should wait till next month when we have.
Full vote. I absolutely agree with that, unless we want to have any other comments on the record before we wait until next meeting.
The,
The chairman can participate.
Yeah, I'll just wait until
Okay.
we can discuss it
He's
as a group.
frozen.
Okay, I mean, if there are additional concerns besides the two that were dealt with in the past, please, please let me know.
Okay.
Or if you have a discussion. If you wanted to give me a call, feel free, but they would have to get to the commission prior to the meeting.
Got it.
Okay. Zoning enforcement?
Kim?
Zoning enforcement, we're dealing with a lot of blight issues, whether it be tall grass or storage of things outside in states of decay. Homes that have been, while they are still paying taxes, people do not reside there anymore, and the homes are in a state of decay. So we have started zoning enforcement processes. We actually have a hearing coming up concerning one of the properties. And we also are looking to have a meeting between planning and zoning, EMS, police, fire marshal, and health concerning blight properties, concerning hoarding situations, and trying to create a protocol as to how to deal with these things so the process is consistent and we make sure everyone is notified so it's a team approach. I've also been given the name of an inspector over in the town of Newington that has kind of worked on one of these types of activities, and I will be reaching out to them for some guidance and some assistance on that. So,
Kim, is there still a working list on enforcement issues?
we
Like
do
we
not
used to
have a
get?
working list. We actually have a box of files. It went from a list to an actual box of files, and things come and go off that, that. But if you would like, we can certainly get back to that.
I don't know, this falls under enforcement, but I just wanted to bring up, I don't know if you guys noticed, there's a nice Tesla charging station going on Route 3.
Oh, that was going to be under minor mods. I was going to bring that up because we
Minor
just signed-
modifications, Kim?
Because we just because we just signed one. Minor modifications we have, as a matter of fact, at 1800 Silestine Highway, they want to put in a single electrical vehicle charging station. Based upon the site plan and what we see on site, we as staff are considering that a minor modification. It is on the north side of the building, and that was just signed today, as a matter of fact. But in discussions with our Vice Chairman, Victor Zurilli, on Route 3, the Tesla has installed some electrical vehicle charging stations, also as a minor modification, on 632 Cromwell Avenue.
Do they
Those
have
are-
fire extinguishers?
That I don't know the specifics.
Where is that?
632, it's where the Arch Pizza
Oh.
is. But we have had interest in the past at Stop and Shop Plaza, 80 Town Line Road, for charging stations. Those, however, they're looking at putting in like video screens. You recall Gugliotti's on Silestine Highway. It's a hairstyling place that actually has a sign. They received a
drive-in.
variance for
Putting a
its.
drive-in.
It's a video screen.
Yeah.
It's like they play movies or play little. Yeah. So they want to do that and Stop and Shop Plaza, but that would need a zoning variance. So.
So what I was asking Kim is that should we need to consider these new technologies in our zoning regs to at least come before us? We have stuff like satellite dishes that no one's putting a 6-foot dish in their yard anymore.
No.
But these new EV stations are, and just take a ride on Route 3. There's nothing wrong with it. It's the future. We have to embrace it, but we should at least talk about it, whether it's a staff issue or whether it's something that we need to look at for vegetations, for plantings, or whatever. So I threw that out to Kim as a possibility to talk about in this commission, or a commission, whether it's our commission or someone else's commission.
I think we could bring it up as a subject for discussion and see what other communities do, and we can talk about it at a subsequent meeting, if that's something the commission would like to do.
I think it's a good idea.
Mhm.
Plan Implementation Committee.
We haven't had a meeting in a while, so.
Nice.
And the chairman's not here either.
Legislation.
I know that, well, we're working on the affordable housing plan. I'll give you an update on that in a bit. We do have legislation concerning outdoor dining. I know Stephen brought up outdoor dining as a question on one of the applications. And outdoor dining had been allowed under COVID with the executive orders. Outdoor dining is still allowed under COVID with executive order extensions through the end of April of next year. Communities, per updated legislation at the state, have to allow outdoor dining with restaurants as an accessory use in their regulations. And we must do that prior to May 1 of next year. So sometime in the future, you will see a zoning regulation amendment, which we must embrace in some form to allow outdoor dining for restaurants, establishments, as an accessory use. So we have the ability to, configure for safety reasons, what have you, not to block handicap accessible parking, what have you. So that'll be coming down the pike. Also, with respect to that, we still have the outstanding moratorium, just so you know, on the retail adult use recreational marijuana. That's still outstanding, and that is through October of this year. So you'll be seeing something on that this summer. Okay.
Busy, busy, busy.
And we also have affordable housing. So I'd just like to kind of morph into that. We were expecting, and I don't remember what Glenn said as far as responses go with respect to the survey. I think he was thinking a couple hundred responses. We are up to 725 as of this morning. So,
awesome.
Yes. So we're getting it out. I put it out to the rare reminder. It wasn't in this last one, so hopefully it's in this one coming up. The rare reminder, Rocky Hill Life, I know only publishes like once a month, so we'll see how that goes. I talked with Craig Bowman in Parks and Rec, Craig and Rita. I want to thank them for their help. I did give them the link, and they sent it out to their Parks and Rec list. So they have a running list of people that ever participated in Park and Rec program also. So they have it. The chamber has it. It's been over in the library. People come into the counters. We shot it up that way. Our signatures, we have a link for the survey on our signatures. We sent it out in a blast to everybody on an email list. So you have on the table this evening something that we've kind of given out to folks. So if you're talking to people, and I'm sure you're not talking about affordable housing or housing, but you can say there's a survey, and that's not a problem. You guys can do that. You can tell them about the housing survey and encourage them to partake in it. So, and we thank you for you folks filling it out as well. And Stephen, I don't know if you've done it yet. I don't even know if you're aware of it yet, but please feel free to go on the Survey Monkey survey and take a survey on housing in Rocky Hill.
I already did it.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, very detailed survey.
Okay. And it is on our website, so if anybody out there, if anyone watches these meetings, they can certainly give me a call and we can get them connected to that. So,
Any bills?
no bills, but we do have some communications.
I'll take some communications then.
Okay. There's one thing I want to bring to your attention. There's a new commission on inclusion and innovation in town. It's called A Mile in My Shoes. It's community conversations trying to bring different types of people together. And they're doing a walk on June 25th at 9:30 a.m. At Elm Ridge Park. And there's a registration for that. The town of Newington are modifying their regulations. They're proposing modifications to their regulations for retail establishments and micro cultivator uses for adult marijuana, and they have the regulations attached. They do have establishments already in town, and they are providing separation requirements, which we have for our medical marijuana. We do have separation requirements, and our requirements are, I believe, are more stringent than what they're proposing. They're also providing a notification for regulations for detached mechanical units. So they're providing that as well. 10 feet from a principal structure and no closer than 5 feet to a property line. Obviously, some of the concerns with some of the mechanical units on residential properties is sound. And we've gotten complaints for people with, HVAC units, what have you, about noise or generators and noise. So, and that's that.
Since we did communications, and since there are no bills, motion to adjourn. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Huh?
I actually just made it. Motion to adjourn.
Okay, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.